Formgiving, an architectural future history, is the third book done by Big. Released at the end of 2020, it ends a trilogy of 3 books published in the last decade. The first one, Yes is More, launched Bjarke Ingels into the Starchitect level with a comic book manifesto, wanting to counter all the seriousness and conservatism in the traditional ways architects publish their books. This book explained a big array of, in its majority, unbuilt projects that had radical proposals for different scales. Hot to Cold, the second book, released in 2015, showed how the office's projects were adapted and in a way sort of built from their specific context. So from cold climates to very arid and hot ones, the intention of the book was to show how Big's architecture was all but generic. This argument is all somewhat debatable, but we will leave that for another video. Now, the third book in the trilogy tries to wrap a series of projects around an argument of future history. We're grabbing some concepts from the evolution of humankind and situating their built projects inside of that argument, whilst also proposing a future of architecture on Earth and on other planets. We are going to get to each specific point in this review, but first I want to explain why I'm doing this review, how it is going to be structured, and if you should consider buying it or not. I have always been a lover of architecture books and lately had been interested in this book because of the cover. I really liked Tashin's graphic design and thought this would be a nice addition. Also, I know there are a lot of Bjarke Ingels fans that maybe would want to see if this book is worth it. That being said, I would love to do more architecture book reviews in this channel. In an era of all digital education, pushing for real life books is definitely worth it. Formgiving is structured in 3 parts. Past, present, and future. In the past, there is a timeline that is organized around 6 evolutionary threads: making, sensing, thinking, moving, sustaining, and healing. Parallel to explaining each of these concepts, the timeline shows all of the evolution from the Big Bang up until the creation of autonomous driving cars of the last decade. As interesting as this part sounds, it is a bit short in comparison to the rest of the book. There is only a brief introductory paragraph to each of the evolutionary threads that Big proposes. Also, these subjects are only touched upon in the first part, but the second and third part never actually come back in a consistent manner to the concepts proposed at first. So, although the table of contents tries to show a relation between these 3 moments in time, it lacks relation with the rest of the book. After this, the present section is the presentation of the actual Big projects. These projects are grouped and categorized into 10 gifts. According to Big, architects don't have a political or financial power, but we do have the power of giving form. And when we do this, we have the possibility of gifting the world with space. And I quote, "The gift is the world-changing power of architecture. It is our capacity to design spaces and places that make a difference, that are the changes that we want to see in the world." Wow, us architects sure are very humble. Now, I'm not going to go in depth into each gift, but we can find names like the oxymoron, biophilia, the symbiote, reincarnation, among others. Talk about name ideas for your projects. Now, each project in the book is organized in a similar structure. We have the title of the project, a brief description, some architectural plans, and a lot of pictures or renders. And I mean a lot. If you want a book with photography, this is it. It is its main emphasis on each project. It also has various top-line photographers, so you know how different photographers see the same buildings, which perspectives they choose, and what themes they play with. This is actually something that I wasn't expecting from the book and was surprised in a very good way. With these photos, you can get a ton of inspiration for creating different styles of drawings and choosing a specific point of view in your own projects. It seemed a bit that the projects were organized from the very best up until the filler ones. Although we aren't here to debate the quality of Big's architecture, there is clearly a conceptual and architectural difference among buildings like Copenhagen versus the Miami Produce. So the majority of projects that they have been working on for more than a decade, and we have seen countless times in conferences and in magazines, are displayed in a very detailed manner, while some projects feel like they were finished just before sending for printing the books. I would have maybe preferred seeing fewer projects but with much more detail. Talking about detail, there is very little of it in this book. We can see floor plans, sections, and diagrams, but few construction details that show us the intricacies of each project. Although that will not be much of a surprise if you already have the 2 previous books. You can see how Big has always focused on the conceptual and storytelling part of the process rather than other phases like construction, details, and theory. The last part, the future, has proposals for the Moon, Mars, and Earth. This part, although it's nicely represented, can be a bit telling of Big's way of thinking and how they are trying to stand out from the rest. There are also some annexes which has a letter from Bjarke Ingels giving his take on the pandemic situation, and photos of the exhibition and movies the office have also participated in. Personally, I think that the book has a nice graphic design and very interesting photographs. I would definitely recommend checking out each of the individual photographers and their portfolios. In terms of the content, I think there are many things that were missed and others that could have been spared. We missed maybe a voice or essays from other partners at Big. Although it is a very centered office having the name of Bjarke in the actual company, it would be interesting to hear from other partners and their take on the vision of their projects. Also, we missed a bit more depth in the conceptual part of the book. Maybe in the rush to meet the deadline for a book every 5 years, there was a strong concept on the title and the play of words, but it lacked more investigation in the development of the idea. Very similar to the projects, there is a need for a strong headline, but the project in itself lacks execution. I would definitely recommend this book for all Big fans. If you already have the other 2 books, why not complete the trilogy? If you are looking for a book with a lot of projects and photographs, this is it. If you are looking for more details and text, then maybe not. Overall, I enjoyed reviewing this book. If you want other points of view on the book, there will be some reference articles in the description, and if you want to purchase the book, there will also be a link in the description. Would you like to see more book reviews like this? Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you would, then comment down below what books you would like to see. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in a next video. Bye.